The cafeteria was alive with chatter and laughter, but when Amara walked in, everything seemed to stop. New school, new faces, and the heavy silence that followed her every step. She clutched her tray tightly, scanning the crowded room for an empty table. Whispers floated around her, eyes followed her, and the subtle smirks made it clear. She didn't belong, at least not yet. At the far end, sitting like he owned the entire space, was Derek, the school's most notorious bully. Everyone knew his reputation, loud, arrogant, and always ready to make someone else's life miserable. When his gaze landed on Amara, he grinned, sensing fresh prey. "Hey, new girl," Derek's voice boomed across the cafeteria. The laughter that followed from his friends was sharp and cruel. Amara froze, pretending not to hear, but he wasn't about to let her walk away. He pushed his chair back and swaggered toward her, towering over her slim figure. "What's with the hair? You look like you stuck your finger in a socket," he sneered, pointing at her natural curls. The cafeteria erupted with laughter. Amara's chest tightened. She had heard those jokes before, the ones meant to strip away pride and dignity. For a moment, the sting of old wounds threatened to pull her down. But Amara wasn't the same girl who used to shrink and hide. She had trained for years in martial arts, not just to defend herself physically, but to build resilience, confidence, and inner strength. She placed her tray down slowly and met Derek's eyes. "Walk away," she said firmly, her voice calm but powerful. The cafeteria went silent. Derek's face flushed red at being challenged. He wasn't used to anyone standing up to him, especially not someone new. "Or what? You gonna cry?" he mocked, stepping closer and shoving her shoulder. The crowd gasped. Amara didn't flinch. Instead, she took a small step back, centering herself the way her instructor had taught her. She didn't want a fight. But Derek made the choice for her when he reached out to grab her arm, intending to drag her in front of everyone. In an instant, Amara moved. Her training took over, quick, precise, and controlled. She twisted his wrist, stepped to the side, and used his momentum against him. Derek's body hit the floor with a loud thud, and his tray went flying. The cafeteria erupted into stunned silence. Derek groaned, clutching his arm, his bravado gone in seconds. He looked up at her, eyes wide with shock and pain. "Please stop," he muttered, his voice trembling. Amara didn't strike again. She stood tall, her calm presence more powerful than any punch. The crowd watched in disbelief. For the first time, Derek wasn't the one in control. Teachers rushed in, separating them, but by then the message had already been delivered. The whispers that once mocked Amara now carried awe. Students began clapping, some even cheering. The bully had been silenced by the very girl he tried to humiliate. Later that day, sitting alone under a tree, Amara replayed the scene in her head. She hadn't wanted violence. But sometimes, standing up meant showing people you couldn't be broken. A small group of students approached her hesitantly. One of them, a quiet girl named Lily, smiled shyly. "That was amazing," Lily said. "Nobody ever stands up to Derek. You're brave." Amara returned the smile. For the first time since arriving at the school, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she belonged. The following days brought change. Derek avoided her as usual, arrogance replaced by silence. And while not everyone suddenly became her friend, the respect she earned was undeniable. More importantly, Amara learned something too. Courage doesn't mean fighting every battle, but refusing to let others define who you are. Her story spread through the school like wildfire, and even teachers looked at her with new respect. She wasn't just the new black girl anymore. She was Amara, the girl who stood tall, who refused to bow, and who reminded everyone watching that strength isn't about hurting others, but about protecting yourself and walking with dignity. And as the days went on, Amara realized that her true victory wasn't Derek on the floor. It was the way she reclaimed her power, inspiring others to believe that no bully could ever take away their worth.